Hey, y'all, buckle up because you're about to enjoy a segment from a Snaps live show, and I'm guessing it's going to be a pretty good time. Enjoy. Michigan, taking notes from The Godfather, is attempting to offer Bryce Underwood an offer that he can't refuse. In fact, what is being reported right now, what is being corroborated by multiple sources, and On3 is the one who really put this, is bringing this story this morning, but Michigan is offering Bryce Underwood $10.5 million over 4 years. 10.5 million. Now remember, Nico got 8 over 4.
Yeah.
Isn't like super wholly unprecedented, but 10.5 million for Bryce Underwood. Now, Bryce Underwood, since he committed to LSU, has remained staunch in his commitment. He was on LSU's campus last week for his official visit. Everything was really good. Besides the game, it's got a bit of that. It's got
besides them getting their ass whooped. I remember when I was a top recruit committed to Georgia, and obviously didn't have whatever millions of dollars that LSU's offering him. But I went to Georgia, Alabama, primetime game, big time game, blackout, all the excitement.
Oh, I remember that game.
Yeah. We had all these recruits there, like Marlon Brown and this guy and that guy. And obviously I was already committed. So my job was to work on getting those other guys to commit. And I remember going into halftime, it's like the area where all the recruits were, and everyone just looking at me, just like, "So how your Bulldogs, Murray?" I'm like, shit. Like it didn't push me away from like, oh, well, I'm gonna decommit now because they got their ass kicked in the first half. I was more like, shit, now I'm not gonna get that guy and that guy and that guy and that guy and that guy to commit based on what we saw. So the loss does not do anything. It's still,
recruiting guys will always tell you that the results don't matter nearly as much as fans do, but I still maintain they don't not matter. Like, it's not the end all be all, but it's not a good look and it's not a good feeling. What Underwood's weekend reminds me of, have you ever heard the saying, well, besides that, Miss Lincoln, how was the play? Right? Like that, that was kind of last weekend for Bryce, but whatever. Coming out of that, he's remained. Yeah, you finally got it, huh?
No, I'm laughing at that CK's little fucking text right here. Let's get to the show. Enough with the banter. I've got anecdotes about me to get to.
Yes,
that was relevant to college football, not Star
look
Wars.
At him. He's blushing, guys. If you're listening on a podcast, you can't see it. Aaron is legitimately blushing. CK got him. Okay, so coming out of the visit, Underwood has said he is still LSU. Now this news breaks this morning. Connor Stallions is now working at Bryce Underwood's high school for whatever that's worth.
This guy just is unbelievable. I love his passion. You know what? Yeah. Can't help on the roster. So what is he going to do? He's going to bounce around to get the top recruits in the country to go to Michigan.
The dude is a Michigan man through and through. Everybody wishes they had a Connor Stallions on the squad.
Of the 10 million, does Portnoy have any money into?
Oh yeah. I don't know the exact numbers, but I mean, he's been very upfront that he's committing, what do you say, $1 to $3 million a year to get Michigan a top quarterback. Now the difference is he did say transfer portal. This is not, and we'll get into the larger conversation about committing this money to a high school kid, what it does, because they're fascinating. Let's get to the last pieces of reporting evidence that we have here. So just minutes after this On3 report broke, Bryce Underwood, who has been known for using Instagram as a way to communicate, posted on his story a picture of former Michigan commit and now LSU wide receiver Philip Wright to his story. So this is Philip Wright. He was committed to Michigan. He flipped to LSU. And minutes after the story broke, Bryce Underwood put this picture on his Instagram. So what does that mean, right? Does that mean that he is, remaining staunch in his commitment to LSU? I'm not sure. Aaron, I don't think, I'll ask you. We don't have any great insight as to whether or not he's actually going to go to LSU, right?
You would know better than I would. What is the discussion of the dollar amount that the LSU, the poor boys of LSU, are offering?
I've heard that it's competitive.
Oh,
but that's when it was at like 5 million. You know what rumor maybe Michigan was offering him? I don't know. But if this is basically, let's say, so this is basically 2.5 a year, a little over 2.5. I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm talking out of my ass here, guys. Yep. I would not be surprised if LSU somewhere at like $1 million a year, something like that. I mean, I would imagine that it's significantly less than
that's
what
very
he's offering here.
Very, very tough. I think if Michigan can say, here's the 10.5, if Michigan can say, here is the recruits that we feel like we can get at the receiving position because of you, you're going to be at home. Then I think that becomes a real conversation, because that's a lot of money. Different. I mean, you're talking about from what LSU's offering, $4 to $5 million to $10 million. That's $5 million.
Well, again,
to stay home. I'm not just saying. I'm just saying where the rumors are. Like, let's play this out. To stay home, to be the hometown hero, and then if they can say these are the receivers that we're going to go get with you and because of you, and if I was him, I was like, hey, take $1 million of that dollars and go get a couple of top recruits. You can sell all you want. Go to LSU. Look, 2 of the past quarterbacks have won Heisman trophies, been top picks in the NFL draft. Look, they're starting in the NFL. I get it, but money talks, man. That is a lot of money, and that's a big delta. And Michigan won a natty a year. Michigan won a natty a year ago, so it's not like this program is irrelevant by any standards.
Well, they're not irrelevant, but they do suck for quarterback play. I mean, okay, so
quarterback just got picked number 10 in the NFL draft a year ago.
Yes, that is true. But you think, okay, would you have wanted to play in that Michigan offense coming out of high school?
No, but that's what I'm saying. You have to give me more promises. You have to say we're going to be different, not just because of the money, but because we know we're deficient at quarterback. We know we're deficient at receivers. You solve one of those problems, and you can help us solve another one, because
they weren't deficient at quarterback with J.J. McCarthy, though. They just chose not to really use him, except when they had to.
Well, they never had receivers. They still didn't have receivers. They had one part of the equation. They have not had. They don't have the second. And when have they had the second?
Yes. So the LSU copium here, and by the way, I do have a meeting lined up tomorrow morning where I should have a lot more very good information on LSU's NIL efforts, and I will have a number after tomorrow's meeting as to what Underwood is being offered, like more exact than I have now. But I think we can clearly say that Michigan's offering significantly more. It's completely fair to say. I think the LSU copium is that he has remained staunchly LSU at every turn. As this number has gone up and up and up, he's just met it with remaining that he is still committed to the Tigers. Now, that could be a good negotiating leverage technique, certainly. He is also, through his father and other people that kind of talk, has remained pretty staunch to the fact that, look, the real money comes in the NFL. And that he's that money's not nothing, but and he's going to get paid and wants to be paid, but that he believes that his real money will be later.
But if you're good enough, you're good enough. J.J. McCarthy barely threw the football, and he was the number 10 pick in the NFL draft. Like, if you're good enough, you will. It's not like.
But who was the number 1 pick, and who was the number 2 pick?
Yeah, true.
I mean, it's crazy that JJ was 10. It's very surprising. Also, a lot of that came from team success, which obviously JJ played a huge role in. But if they don't win the Natty, I wonder if JJ McCarthy's still the 10th pick.
I mean, there were moments in the beginning of last year. Remember how much I was raving about his development as a passer? You saw glimpses of, like, this kid's pretty talented, raw, not a ton of tape on it. But when you do get good tape, you're like, holy shit, like, this kid can fling it. I went back, I asked you your thoughts about, 20 minutes ago of your thoughts of Bryce Underwood, and you're like, go watch the tape. So pulled some YouTube, watched about 10, 15 minutes of it, and big, can run, can make all the throws. He'll get drafted wherever he goes.
He's the consistent number 1 pick. Well, exactly. He'll get drafted wherever he goes, but exactly, when you're the consensus number 1 player at high school, he exists in a world that not many can, where he can have number 1 NFL draft pick as a realistic goal.
Yes.
And he can make a decision.
He can do that anywhere, though. And I continue to say this. part of getting a top quarterback is what he can draw to that university. And he'll be able to hit a couple guys in the portal and a couple guys that are in his class to bring in. That's all it takes at the end of the day. You get a good quarterback and you give me 2 good receivers, you can transform that offense. It's not like this is not a heavy lift for Michigan. You got big boys up front. The offensive line will always and continue to be good, even though they took a little bit of step back this year. That is still a destination for big boys up front. You cannot tell me that you can't go somewhere and get a couple receivers to tag along with, and all of a sudden you have a complete offense.
Yeah, no, look, I don't want to defend Underwood to LSU too hard here because I would completely understand if he left for Michigan. I mean,
100%.
money is money. It's his hometown. Absolutely. I do think I get your point on the wide receivers. I would say that it's an offensive philosophy from Michigan that's probably the biggest hurdle, not the personnel. It's the style that they want to play with. And yeah, you could say you're going to change your style, but that's easier said than done. So we'll see. We'll see wherever Bryce Underwood ends up. I mean, look, I am a firm subscriber, and we dove deep on this, for all the old head snaps listeners a couple of years ago. We have a lot of data now, and I'd be interested to update these numbers actually, where we now know that a 5-star signee quarterback has a less than 50% chance of finishing with your school anyway. So like putting all your hopes and dreams into one of these guys is kind of a recipe for disappointment to begin with.
Yeah.
Anyway, but here are the other interesting angles to this story, Aaron. Is there a high school quarterback that you believe could be worth this amount of money?
Is there?
Yeah. Like a transfer portal quarterback, you want to pay $2 million a year. I get that a bit more. It's way more proven. You know what they do in the college level. It's an easier scout. You never, and I mean, you're talking about a kid going from Michigan to Baton Rouge, who knows how that
the perfect example is why the NFL got away from that too. The NFL used to give, before Cam, I mean, was it the Oklahoma quarterback, Bradford, Sam Bradford, Stafford.
Played with him in St. Louis, and he got to do whatever the fuck he wanted.
Yeah. Dude, those dudes were signed for $80-90 million. The NFL's like, why the hell are we paying rookie quarterbacks that have never played a snapping call in the NFL all this money? And then they change the salary cap, and then obviously you make it to your second contract, and that's when the real money starts to come. It's like, no, I don't agree with it. I do not agree with paying a quarterback next year. If he did go to LSU and Nussmeier stayed, that would be making significantly more, maybe quadruple as much as what Nussmeier is making.
Well, so that is the other interesting part about this to me is the question. I would say the question of whether or not a high school quarterback be worth it. I think they can be, but you're taking a big risk. I mean, so far, Iamaleava's paid off for Tennessee, but they are tied to him. Like if you're going to pay that guy, he's going to be your guy. You don't really have an option. You're not going to be able to sit him. So that's one thing. So as Aaron's alluding to there, the most interesting thing from an LSU perspective to me here, and this will go to other teams as well as we move forward in this age, but if Nussmeier chooses to come back, which I imagine he will, because he too will have a chance to be a top 5 draft pick, Underwood would probably be significantly higher paid than Nuss would.
Yes.
I've heard he makes around $500K right now. That number would probably have to go up if you're going to get him back. But how would you feel if you're Garrett Nussmeier, and the other guy's making double what you make? That's an odd locker room.
But that's a question too of if you're LSU and you're going to have to pay Nuss to keep him, and you want to keep Nuss for one more year, then you're paying 2 quarterbacks starting salaries essentially. Like where do you get that extra money from? If you're going to pay Bryce 1.5.
Well, I mean, no, you've already in this scenario though. You've already accounted for the money. Okay. It's not about where you get the money from. If you have the money, you have the money. It's do you want to allocate the money in that way?
Do you think? I think another big question too is obviously times have changed significantly since we played. A decade ago. Most quarterbacks were willing to sit for 2 years, buy your time, get 2 years to start, and then hopefully make it. That's enough to make it to the NFL. These guys want to come in and believe because of the offenses they run in high school that they can come in and start day one. You go to Michigan, just like we saw with Raiola going to Nebraska, he's going to start day one. You go to LSU, if Nussmeier returns, you're not going to start. That could be a little bit of an interesting factor too.
Well, that's all about what Underwood's.
I mean, does not feel like Raiola a little bit of Nebraska's putting all their chips in? He's a Nebraska kid. We're going to give you more money. We need you. Come be the savior of Nebraska. And now Michigan's pulling the same card, trying to steal him from LSU of stay home. We'll give you more money and you can start as a true freshman.
I think there's some differences where Nebraska was recruiting the fuck out of Raiola from day one. Michigan fucked up Underwood's recruiting bad. Underwood's high school head coach said that he saw the LSU staff and even Michigan beat writers more than he saw the Michigan staff at his school. So they're coming to it late. I think this is more like a Nico situation to me. I guess it has shades of both. Whatever. I see what you're saying as well. But I mean, look at Nico, right? Obviously, that was a kid who was okay with coming in, sitting for a year, learning, and then taking over. I think if you're level-headed, I think that probably sets you up for the best chance of success. But then again, if you're an elite football player, I also understand just wanting to play because sitting for a year sucks and it's boring and it's not fun and you miss out on the glory. That said, it would not be 2 years. No, because if Nuss does come back, it'd be 1 year. So it does time up nicely for LSU in that way. But like I said, that's an odd locker room dynamic if all of a sudden your backup's making more than the starter. And does it incentivize, if you're a booster or coach and you're paying this backup, does it incentivize playing him? Does it shorten a rope on Nussmeier? Like, does it do you give him the edge in competitions? Like what if he shows up, let's say Nuss leaves this year, next year, whenever. What if you have another quarterback and he's out practicing Bryce Underwood, which is not likely, but you're going to play Underwood, right?
You have to play Underwood.
You have to.
You have to.
So like when you offer this sort of deal, you are straight up saying, come hell or high water, we are going to make this work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then finally, does this incentivize LSU to pull in Oklahoma and try to force Nuss out? I hope not.
No,
pray to the same.
At least with Arnold, you saw.
At
least with Arnold, you saw him for a year. So listen. I talked with Lebby at Mississippi State about this situation at Oklahoma, and he's like, "Listen, I truly not like he had a hand in him going to Oregon, but he's like, we all know and believe that Jackson Arnold is that dude. Like he's very talented. To me, he was very shocked when I asked him, like, what the hell is going on with Oklahoma? He's like, he doesn't believe it's an Arnold issue, which I stayed.
Jeff Lebby.
It's Jeff being gone, plus everything around him. Yeah, no, I agree. But they saw him for a year. They saw how good he was going to be, and they took that into consideration about the future. Where he hasn't even set foot on campus. So you're not going to push Nuss out without knowing if this guy's going to be ready to go his freshman year or not.
Either way, this is going to be a fascinating situation to watch over the next month. Early signing day, December 4th. And this new age of college football is only continue to serve us up these sort of scenarios. For what it's worth,
I don't agree with Gary in any sense here. And maybe it's because I do think Ewers is very talented and I do think Nuss is very talented. I don't
Gary's comment for the podcast.
It would just be a Ewers Manning scenario where Ewers Nuss is less talented. I do not believe right now, if you gave me Manning and Ewers, that I think I would say Manning is more talented than Ewers. Manning's a better athlete. Manning's a better runner. Doesn't make him a better quarterback. I think people are, they want that, and I get it because we talked about the other day.
Quinn Stock's a little down right now.
It is down, but he had a great game last week. He's going to have another great game this week versus Arkansas. He had one bad half of football. One bad half.
But they have. I mean, like we've seen with Texas, though.
And I think Nuss is going to be. Let's not forget
Nuss had 90. Yeah, he's had 90 bad minutes.
Yeah, he's had 90 bad minutes, but he's also a first-year starting quarterback.
Yeah,
that's shown me a lot. So I think Nuss year 2 next year is going to be pretty, and he's with a brand new OC. I know the same system, but it's first time for him calling plays. So Nuss next year is going to be, as you alluded to, I think a guy that's going to be first, second round talent.
So, well, he's already kind of being viewed as a first, second round this year. I think the idea would be he'd come back next year and push up into the first round alone. Like, I think
Probably.
he's 30th on Brugler's big board right now of overall prospects.
Yeah.
But the word on the street is they just want to see him play more football.
Yeah.
It's wild to me how quickly we've gotten used to just like.
Well, he better learn from Carson.
Nuss
'Cause
is
that's what
only
that's what they said about Carson a year ago. Hey, stay one more year. We need to see you play more football. That's
Yeah.
not working out
Well,
too
you got to play well though. You
Yeah,
know?
I know.
You
Obviously.
can't take a step back.
Yeah.
There's going to be exceptions to every rule.
I didn't realize Joe Sloan called plays at La Tech. Never mind. My apologies.
It's crazy to me that we arrived at a place so quickly where we're just like, yeah, well, Nuss only makes $500,000. Do you know what I would have fucking done with $500,000 in college? Oh my God. I would have been a demon. I'd probably be dead, honestly.
Probably.
But whatever. I would have gone out on top. I would have gone out doing what I love. Drinking, drugs, just anything that's bad. Anything that you were told you shouldn't do,
Oh,
jerking off,
dick.
whatever, anything, any and all of it. You probably did get paid $500K because I know that's how they used to pay.
Not that much. Not that
Yeah,
much.
exactly.
Not that much.
Exactly. Here we go.
Yeah, but I'd be sneaky with it because it was cash. You couldn't just go around just buying big items.
I got a $20 handshake
Mhm.
one time from my friend's uncle,
Mhm.
my friend's dad. So $20. What'd you get? Allegedly. If you had to imagine,
Really not much. I'll be honest, not much.
If you had to make up a number, what number would you make up?
I don't know. It wasn't much. It was handshakes every now and then.
Allegedly, what would it be?
I don't fucking know. It was handshakes.
Statute of limitations are up, dude. We're old. You just got out of your Jesus year. Just fucking give us
I to be completely honest, probably a few grand.
Okay.
Like,
not like
not
50 or 100 or something.
No, I think the difference is people knew I came from a good family. I wasn't like starving for money. I got whatever I needed. So it's not like I was not desperately seeking money. I'm sure if I was, I could have got paid, but I was not looking for money.
Yeah. I mean, Zach says Cam got $250K from Auburn. That's an incredible deal for Auburn. If that's true, they made so much money.
Oh my God.
Off of Cam Newton. If that's true. Oh, well, I'd say that was informative and fun. If you agree, please hit the like button, sub, and we'll see you next time for some more snaps.